Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today, I'm going to share how I learned to use my past to propel me towards a future that I could look forward to. My name is Jason Mellard. I am a certified high performance coach, writer, and the founder of Own Your Identity. I'm committed to empowering men to live beyond their unwanted same sex attractions and into their purpose through the power of Christ and for the glory of God. When I was young and overwhelmed by my unwanted attractions, it felt like the cards were stacked against me. I couldn't walk across my college campus without my eyes being drawn to every attractive guy and taking inventory of how I didn't measure up. I sat in the library needing to study, but I was distracted by a mental slideshow of sensual images. At home on winter break, painful childhood memories flooded my mind. The past was working against me, and I felt like a mess in the present. And I believed I couldn't hope for a better tomorrow until I overcame everything that felt so big in my life, which was a lot. When I saw my past and future as oppressive, I felt beat down. But here are a couple actions that would have been really helpful. These concepts were way outside my paradigm of life at the time, but they are transformative in empowering us to live beyond our unwanted attractions and negative habits. Okay, the first is decide that everything in our past is an asset rather than a liability. The second, develop certainty that our future will exceed our expectations. All right, so number one was decide that everything in our past is an asset rather than a liability. And two, develop certainty that our future will exceed our expectations. To illustrate how we can let our past fuel us, I wrote the following scene from my adolescent years and my response to it. So as a young teenager, I went to my dad and I showed him my upper lip. And I was so proud that black hairs had sprouted on it. I said, "Dad, I'm getting a mustache." He turned to face me and without moving any closer, he declared, "It's just peach fuzz." What? No, that's not true, I thought. I said, "My dad, no, it's the start of a mustache, Dad." And I kind of held my breath because I wanted a different response this time. "Nope, it's just peach fuzz," he said again. And that was the end of the conversation. And then he went back to whatever was more important to him besides me. And my chest deflated. I remember retreating to my bathroom mirror, and those few black hairs were definitely there, but apparently they didn't count. My masculinity was subpar. That memory, it got filed away, and when I recently recalled it, my shoulders slumped and my chest tightened. How could I use that event to work for me rather than against me? I honestly was not sure what I was going to come up with, and I really wanted to extract some great things to share with you today, but it took me a bit. But once I did, I got on a roll. So here are a few things that you can consider applying to some challenging events in your life. One thing I was able to do was to step into my power. When I recalled that event, I got angry and I got sad, and I decided to lean into both of those. When I leaned into that anger, I sat with it and I expressed it. I talked to God about it. I talked to other people about it. And I really did acknowledge that my dad was irresponsible with my heart. I was worth more of his time and more of his care. His words really hurt me, and the lies that Satan offered me in that vulnerable state, they handicapped me for a long time. It wasn't just that one incident. A lot of things built up over the years until I truly believed that I wasn't man enough. I didn't have what it takes. And so I said, enough. No, this is my life. I'm taking it back. Here's what it means. I'm going to use this for my personal growth to allow it to push me forward. So stepping into power was helpful. And I can allow something like that to increase my sense of certainty. What my dad said was really confusing to me at the time. Of course, because he's saying something completely different than what the truth of the mirror is telling me. I was told that my masculinity evidence on my face did not exist. But, when you're in the midst of confusion and you have to make a strong decision about what's true, you have to get some power. You have to take some courage. It requires some confidence to be able to do that. And I wish I had done a little bit more of that back then. It would have been empowering for me. But, over the years, I've been able to say, hey, no, I am man enough. I do have what it takes. And that really forces you to take greater ownership of yourself and your identity. And that's a good thing. I had the opportunity to grieve. Like I said, I was angry, I was sad, and grief can be scary, but I've become acquainted with it enough to know that it leads to strength, joy, and peace. I let myself feel sad about that memory, and then I actually imagined the version of the story that I wished had occurred, and I grieved its absence. I thought about, what would I have wanted my dad to do? I would have loved for him to take in some time with me to say, well, that's pretty cool. How do you feel about that? How do you think it's going to look like on your face to grow a beard someday? Let's talk about more things that are going to happen and change in your body. What else does it mean to grow into manhood and masculinity? And how can we be excited about it? Let me tell you a little bit about what it was like for me. There were so many opportunities that could have happened, but they didn't. And I had the opportunity to grieve that. I can encounter Jesus. I can actually rewrite that scene, and I can include Christ as the hero. I look back now and I picture Christ standing behind me as my dad is dismissing me. When I turn from my dad, Jesus' presence stops me in my tracks. He bends down until eye level with me and he says, Jason, that's going to be a good mustache. And I just fall into him. I have the opportunity to connect with others. While leading a group coaching call this week, I shared my Peach Fuzz story, as I'm calling it, to the men in the group, and they were really able to empathize with me. And they shared some similar stories. I felt seen and affirmed and had the opportunity to do the same for them. I also posted it to an online forum, and man, one of the comments I received was so healing. The person wrote that he would have wanted my dad to say the following things. And he listed out something amazing. And he was spot on to what I would have loved. And it spoke to my heart in a deep way. It was so healing for me. So I'm so glad that I shared this story with many people. And another blessing that came from sharing it was a 14-year-old boy that I've never met received some joy through it. His father heard the story from my friend who's a counselor, and his dad is a client of the counselor. Anyway, he went home and he was just prompted to talk to his 14-year-old son about his facial hair and to comment on it, just like I would have wanted my dad to do to me. And his son was kind of taken aback by his dad, who said, hey, it seems like it's not going to be long before you have a full beard, and it looks like it's filling in. His son kind of scoffed at first, but then said, you really think so? And they connected about it multiple times that day. And it was really cool to get that message relayed back to me that experience happened, and it brought me a lot of joy. I have the opportunity to forgive. I can forgive my dad, and I've done that many times over the years for different things and in different ways, and I got to do it again, and that's healing. Got to forgive him for that particular experience, and I didn't have to force it, but I believe that forgiveness is a healing thing, that God provides it as a blessing. And I remember one time when I was really thinking about my father when he left our family to go into the gay lifestyle, and I felt abandoned. And, I wanted to forgive him, but I didn't want to fake it. And I remember praying to God and saying, hey, please help me to forgive him from my whole heart, and really believe it and integrate it. And I remember a while after that, just waking up one morning and thinking, I wonder how my dad's doing today. And I felt kindness and gladness in my heart, thinking about him wherever he was. And I really took that as evidence of God's work of forgiveness in my heart. And it was really cool. I felt peace and joy. Forgiveness is a process, but that morning was a milestone. I have the opportunity to love myself. Younger Jason, that scene, he's still with me. He desires to be seen, acknowledged, and affirmed. I get to do that. I can ask younger Jason to share the excitement he felt when noticing the change in his face, as well as his disappointment with his dad's response. I can say to him, tell me more. I picture myself now standing behind him when he's looking in the mirror in that bathroom and putting my hands on his shoulders and telling him, hey, you've got what it takes. There's a lot of experiences in life that I could do without. But while I can't change the past, I can choose to use it because I value myself now in the present. And viewing the past as a tool, it helps me to breathe a little easier now, and I feel a bit less oppressed and stuck. Okay, so what about the future? How can I let that empower me as well? The future that has always seemed so scary to me, that I didn't want to get excited about because I didn't want to be disappointed. I was always afraid to get my hopes up. I was tired of being hurt, and I would do anything to keep from being hurt. I made a vow not to get hurt again. But honestly, I was hurting myself by maintaining a view of the future as scary and dim. I've learned the beauty and power of believing, without a doubt, that the best in life is yet to come. And I honestly think that's a requirement to be able to grow and flourish in the present. After I graduated college, settled into my career, and considered the future ahead, I wanted to be a confident husband, enjoy deeper friendships, say yes to God's call in my life, and live authentically with nothing to hide. When I questioned if it would be possible, I first looked to my past for evidence, because I didn't know what the future was going to hold. I looked and I said, had my unwanted attractions taken up a lot of space in my mind? Yes. Had I avoided relationships? Yes. Did I maintain unhealthy habits? Yep. Had I been told that I didn't measure up, that I wasn't enough? Yes. Was I clueless about dating girls or developing deep male friendships? Yes. Was I often anxious? I was. Did the future scare me? You bet. And that was plenty of evidence for me to settle the viability of the life that I truly desired. And its chance was slim to none, apparently. So I remained dutiful to my past. I maintained its consistent cadence of porn use and avoidant behaviors. I continued gazing at men with needy longing, and I prioritized safety. I told myself, life is good. I'll be happy staying single. My friendships are fine. I stopped admitting that I wanted more. But what if I was certain that my future contained either the life of my dreams or something even better, regardless of my unwanted attractions or my past? Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart." 1 Corinthians 2:9 tells us, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him." I can direct delight and love toward Christ in the present and trust that my future will exceed my expectations. I can vividly imagine living life with a clear conscience and full heart, waking beside a beautiful woman, connecting deeply with other men, and leading others confidently without fearing disappointment. I wanted that future. I don't know. I didn't know if God would grant it, maybe. But if not, he had something in mind that would really blow my socks off. I just knew it. I had to believe that because I wanted to. I wanted to believe that it was going to be amazing because I would live more fully alive in the present. And that's what I really wanted more than anything else. But perhaps you're thinking, but Jason, I've screwed up too much. I can't quit porn or acting out. I don't have any attractions towards women. I keep getting hurt in friendships. I get it. But for me, when I envisioned my future as limited, I was less motivated to own my identity in Christ, achieve sobriety, welcome new attractions, and be resilient in relationships. It was way easier to remain stuck. So when I chose to be certain of a compelling future, I tapped into deeper reserves of energy and grit, and I felt alive. Also, if I'm certain of a future where I'm not ruled by my temptations and unwanted attractions, but I rather direct my energy towards partnering with God on mission, I'll begin identifying as that person now, and I'll find it more natural to choose actions in line with my values and purpose in the present. So, where are you in life? Do you get discouraged when you reflect on the past or anticipate a pattern of disappointment in the future? If so, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. First, how would you show up differently today if you got your hopes up about tomorrow? Second, what would it feel like to use your past to fuel you rather than allow it to drain you? And feel free to leave a comment with your answers. Big picture, let's use it all to our advantage. The past, the future, it doesn't need to be scary. It doesn't need to press us down. Thanks for listening today. If you would love to transform your past into fuel to propel you towards a compelling future, I would love to work with you. I want you to hear what Chuck, a current client, has to say. Chuck says, Jason's Own Your Identity coaching program has helped me reach a new level in my personal recovery. While I had achieved a significant level of growth and freedom over the last 9 years, there were still areas in my life where I felt stuck. I feared I might never find a way beyond them. Jason's character and compassion, combined with his practical approach, birthed from his own life experiences, personal applied faith in Jesus Christ, and his knowledge and skills as a high-performance coach, have brought me a vision of a new, unique path forward. Transformed beliefs, behaviors, and hopes about myself and what's possible, fueled by the power of the Holy Spirit. In Jason, I have found a friend, brother, teacher, and mentor for living in greater hope, peace, and purpose. What a gift. Man, I would love to meet you and hear your story. You can learn more and book a discovery session at ownyouridentitynow.com. God bless.